Hi,
Hi, Archie.
did you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
I can't see you very well. Can you fix the camera? There.
Here.
Now I can see you. I like your smile. It makes me very happy to see it. How are you today?
Good.
Ready?
Yes.
Atoms make up everything. But what makes up atoms? Protons, electrons, and neutrons.
Yes, yesterday's, right?
There
Yeah.
are 118 different kinds of atoms, which are each the smallest part of an element. If we observe elements like gold, carbon, and oxygen, we can see that they have very different properties that don't look or act the same. But why are they so different? Well, it comes down to what's inside their atoms. As you can see here, atoms are made of just 3 types of tiny particles called protons, electrons, and neutrons. And each of these tiny particles does something special. For example, it's the number of protons inside an atom that makes each element different. If we look at the periodic table, the first element, hydrogen, has 1 proton. The second element, helium, has 2 protons. And the third element, lithium, has 3 protons. This goes on all the way up to the 118th element, oganesson, which has, that's right, 118 protons in its nucleus. By the way, the number of protons in an atom is also called its atomic number, which you can see here on the periodic table of elements. Now, electrons are much smaller than protons, and they zip around protons at lightning speed, making up something called an electron cloud around the atom. Electrons do this because they have a negative electrical charge, which always pulls towards the proton's positive electrical charge. This pull between the positive protons and the negative electrons is called the electric force, and it's always there. So whenever a free electron gets close enough to a lonely proton, zap, they'll become part of the same atom. That's why all the elements have the same number of electrons and protons. So why do atoms need neutrons? Well, without neutrons, the electric force will cause the positively charged protons to push each other out of the atom. But there's a stronger force that exists between neutrons and protons, which stops the protons from flying apart. It's called the strong nuclear force, or strong force for short. And it kind of works like glue to hold the nucleus together. If there were no neutrons, everything would simply be hydrogen.
All right, so now let's look at Spacemice. So the author of Geronimo Stilton, both in Hero Mice and Spacemice, has used the word electron and proton, but the author doesn't use them in a way that makes very much sense. For example, do you see right here where the author said proton velocity? Do you see that? You see my red dot?
Yes.
Well, when you think about the video that you just saw and you picture the atom, what's moving fast? Is it the proton in the middle or the electrons on the outside?
Electrons.
The electrons are moving really fast. So the word velocity, which you see right here, means how fast something going really fast. Velocity is talking about the speed or how fast something is moving. So do you think it would make more sense to say proton velocity or electron velocity?
Electron.
Yeah, that's what I think. I don't know very much about atoms actually, but I know just what we saw in that video, that an atom, was it on this page? Well, yeah, when I showed you this thingy right here, that periodic table, I know that each of those squares is an element. I know there's 118 elements. And I know that the number in each box, right, these go in order from number 1, and then over here on this side is number 2, that's helium. That's the number of protons that has. And then these all go in order. That's 3 protons, 4 protons, 5 protons, 6 protons, 7 protons, 8 protons. So if you see an atom and you know how many protons are in it, you can look at this. You can look at this and find the number. And if it says, if you know there are 26 protons, you find number 26 and you say, oh, that's Fe, and Fe means iron. The 26 tells us how many protons. And as soon as we know how many protons, we know how many electrons. So if there's 26 protons, there's 26 electrons. And usually that will also tell us how many neutrons. Usually there's the same number of neutrons also. So it'd be 26, 26, 26, 26 of each. So that was one thing that I knew. We're going to skip that. That's the end of our science lesson. So we are here where I have to figure out who's talking here. What's going on? Oh,
Robotics.
yeah, well, hologramics is talking. And he's saying that he's made a few calculations to determine the size of the planet's orbit. I think that's the planet Rattos that they're going to see. And then he says a bunch of stuff here that doesn't really make any sense. And then robotics snorted under his breath. Usually someone is snorting when they're making fun of something. He says, what a planetary pain, he grumbled. Hologramics thinks it knows everything just because it's a supercomputer. Unfortunately, Hologramics heard him. How dare you insult me, you hunk of scrap metal? The two robots are, the computer is Hologramics, and then robotics is also a robot, and they're kind of making fun of each other. Oh, right here. We can see here's Hologramics and here's robotics. And Hologramics calls robotics a hunk of scrap metal. And then Hologramics says, I am the most advanced form of electronic intelligence ever produced, and I have the most sophisticated programming of all time. He's sophisticated means really fancy. So he's saying, I'm the best computer that ever lived. At that point, Geronimo, jumped in. Excuse me, Hologramics, but we don't have time for arguments, I explained. Now, please give us the message from Rattos. Hologramics transmitted the video message. Transmitted means it showed it to us using his computer. It showed us the message. And 3 strange creatures appeared on the control room's computer screen. Greetings, intrepid space travelers. Intrepid means you are not afraid of anything. You're like fearless. You're brave. The figures said, We are pink mousoids. Remember I said I think this author is using mousoid to mean android. So maybe like a robot that's smart, that can think. From the planet Rattos. The creatures had a mousoid shape, meaning they looked like mice, but they were completely pink. Professor Greenfur scratched the leaves on his head thoughtfully. Oh, so here we can see a picture of what they look like, right? Here's the three mousoids from planet Rattos. And they say, we come in peace. Salutations means greetings. We're saying hello. And we can see Thea here and Geronimo and robotics and hologramics. This looks like Trap. I don't see, is it Sally? The mechanic, I don't see her with the purple hair. So who's muttering? Who's he? I've already forgotten who's talking. Oh, Professor Greenfur. I don't see Professor Greenfur in this picture.
He's there.
You see him?
No, he's back at the drama.
Okay. Well, Professor Greenfur muttered. Muttered, remember, is a word that means said, but we're saying it when we're feeling a little bit maybe frustrated and I don't know, annoyed, or just so we're not talking very clearly or very loud. We're almost talking to ourselves. Very strange, he said. I'm not familiar with this alien population. You know, I find it interesting that this is the second time that this character, what's his name, Greenfur? It's the
Yes,
second
Professor.
time, it's the second time he's noticed something that doesn't really make sense. Wasn't he the one that said that that element they're looking for, that, I don't know, stellium, interstellium, I don't know, whatever that element is called. He said for the batteries to save the engine from exploding, he said, that's supposed to last for centuries. I just don't understand how it can already need more. That was one thing he said I have not forgotten. And then here he's saying, I thought I knew all alien, like all the aliens on all these planets. I thought I knew them. And here's one I've never seen before. So I think that's also a little interesting. One of the pink mousoids waved a hand in greeting. Salutations, she said. We come in peace, honorable rodents of the Mouse Star 1. That's a very respectful thing to say. We know that your spaceship is in danger, and we are here to help. We can give you the precious tetrastellium, well, that's what it's called, tetrastellium that you need. This is a real stroke of luck, Geronimo, Trap exclaimed. If they help us, the mission to find more tetrastellium will be completed before it's even started. We should organize a galactic banquet to celebrate. Galactic is an adjective that is talking about a galaxy, which is a huge, you know, it's like many solar systems. It's like the universe. But in this sentence, if you're using it as an adjective, I think it just means really, really big. And a banquet is like a fancy feast. It's like a big party, like the ball that they had at the Grand Hotel, like a really fancy feast with lots of fancy food. And people would probably dress up in their best clothes. That would be a banquet. And so you'd be having some sort of celebration. And, you know, but they just started this mission to go to planet Rattos. And all of a sudden, they're there. The pink aliens know why they're coming. They say, sure, we'll be happy to help you out. Problem solved, let's celebrate. It seems like it happened so quickly. They barely, just that morning, they were starting out on their mission. It's only lunchtime. Their lunch got interrupted and mission accomplished. That seems awfully strange, doesn't it? It sounded like we were saved, but there was something strange about those pink mousoids. It all seemed too easy. I agree. I think there's a mystery here. A whiskered welcome. Wonder what that's going to be about. Well, we invited our new mousoid friends onto the Mouse Star 1. I was practically jumping out of my fur with nerves. How should we welcome our guests? I didn't want to be rude. We could give them a gift of a can of precious, super concentrated oil, Sally suggested. It's great for space motors. This must be the can of oil here. I don't know. I don't really think of a can of oil as a really fancy gift. What do you think?
No.
No, we should give them a nice clump of rotting manure that they can use in their greenhouses, Professor Green first said. Does that sound like a nice gift? Yeah, kind of.
No.
No, Trap countered. This is what Trap has to say. I know just what they'll want. I'll tell Cook Squizzy to make one of his specialties. Uh-oh. But no seaweed and no moss, just high quality cheese. The pink mousoid's ship has just entered our hangar. Hologram. What's that noise?
Nope. Telephone.
Let's see. So the hangar is the part of the spaceship where another ship can come in, kind of like a garage door opening up to let a car come into the garage. I hurried to receive them and everyone followed me. I don't know that I want to let that cook make a gift for people, but the pink mousoids made a formal bow. Okay, so that means they bowed very beautifully. Then the tallest one, who seemed to be the leader, pointed to a floating sphere. A sphere is like a ball. This gift of tetrastellium is a sign of intergalactic friendship, he said. Okay, so we're friends from different planets. The sphere opened and a mysterious box appeared right in front of us. It was filled to the brim with a shining pink substance. I cleared my throat. Thank you, friends, but maybe you're mistaken, I said. I'm afraid this isn't tetrastellium. Tetrastellium isn't pink, it's blue. The tallest pink mousoid stepped forward. My rodent friend, you're right, he explained. Tetrastellium is usually blue, but this is a very rare pink variety. Don't worry, it's absolutely the same as blue tetrastellium. It works great. Do you believe it?
No.
The tall pink mousoid stepped closer to me and narrowed his eyes. You'll see that this pink tetrastellium will be very good for your spaceship, he said. In fact, it will be perfect. I turned to Professor Greenfur, who was examining the contents of the box with his portable super detector. The sensors have confirmed it with 99.9999% certainty, the professor announced to us. This is tetrastellium. I don't know. I don't think I trust it. Then he shook his head and whispered softly under his breath. It's so strange, though. I never knew there was a pink variety. What's going on here, Archie?
I don't know.
You trust these three creatures?
Nope, because they are aliens.
Yes, that's true. Here they are. You can see Professor Greenfur looking at it. I don't know. Looks awfully mysterious. Oh, and there's the spaceship and the other two, and they're saying, yes, it's tetrastellium guaranteed. We mean it. Different planet, different customs. We're happy to be able to help you, the tallest pink mousoid said solemnly. If you stay in orbit around our planet tonight, we'll give you another box full of tetrastellium tomorrow for free. I couldn't believe my ears. They were being so generous. That means they're just giving so much for free. Thank you so much, honorable pink mousoids from the planet Rattos, I replied ceremoniously. Ceremoniously comes from the word ceremony. Ceremony is when you're doing something very official and formal and fancy, and like if someone wins an award and you want to give them a medal for winning the race or winning the competition, you would have a ceremony. And the way you would give them the award is ceremoniously. So very, he'd be very official, very polite. And then he says, our very talented cook, Squizzy, has prepared one of his cheese specialties for you. Would you like to join us for a banquet? So he's trying to be polite, okay? And then Trap says, yeah, we even have a tasting menu. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed that my sister Thea was strangely silent. She was watching the pink mousoids suspiciously, as if she didn't trust them. If you're suspicious of someone, you suspect them of doing something that's not so good. Now you suspect them of doing something that they're being very sneaky about, being very mysterious and quiet about it. But you're kind of thinking, I'm not sure I can trust them. I'm not sure this is what it seems. I think something else is going on here, and they're maybe not being honest about it. That means she didn't trust them. The pink mousoids refused our invitation. Thank you, dear friends, but we would like to return to our planet as soon as possible. The tall mousoid replied, we have certain business to attend to. You can see that Thea is really thinking about what's going on here. And also, the way that this is written, that we have hesitation, certain business, that's how someone talks if they're lying, if they're trying not to tell, if they're being really sneaky and mysterious and untrustworthy. If they're trying not to tell you something, they'll say, we have certain business to attend to, but they don't really say what they need to do. They were just starting to board their ship when Thea stopped them. It's very generous of you to give us this precious tetrastellium without receiving anything in return, she said. She's pointing out how generous it is of them that they're giving them this big box of tetrastellium, and they're even offering to give them more tomorrow if they just stick around overnight, and they don't want any money for it. They don't want anything at all in return. And they're strangers, right? They're not even friends. They're just giving it out of kindness. Well, people don't usually do that. And Thea is suspicious. So she's asking them about it, or she's pointing that out. And they say, we are happy to help, the tallest pink mousoid replied. That's very nice, Thea said. still eyeing them suspiciously. That means she's looking at them with not really trusting them. But are you sure you don't want anything at all in exchange for the tetrastellium? Like, are you sure there's nothing we can give you? The pink mousoids looked offended. Okay, you look offended if you feel like someone is not being respectful to you. If you feel like someone is looking at you in a way that is kind of questioning whether you're being honest, or questioning whether you're doing something good, or questioning if you really are what you seem to be. And you could look offended if you think someone is not trusting you. They say, for us, tetrastellium has no value. Okay, it's not worth anything at all other than friendship, the tall mousoid replied. Okay, he's saying, yes, we just want to be your friends. The other two mousoids exclaimed in unison. That means at the same time. And then they're kind of in a hurry to go, right? They say, it's getting late and we really need to go, the tall mousoid said. Don't go away, though. We'll bring you more tetrastellium tomorrow. What do you think, Archie? Do you trust these characters? I don't know that I trust them. With that, they threw open the doors to their pink spaceship in a rush. A moment later, they took off. Such strange pink mousoids, I murmured. Murmured is kind of like muttered. It means that you're saying something very quietly. Kind of almost like you're talking to yourself. All righty. Well, are you still there?
Yes.
All righty. It's really true what Grandfather William always says. Different planet, different customs. Thea remained silent, which was very unlike her. Meanwhile, Trap was muttering to himself through a mouthful of cheese. He said, it's a real shame that those pink mousoids didn't taste this cheese, he mumbled. Mumbled and murmured and muttering are all kind of similar. You're not talking very clearly or loudly. It's kind of almost to yourself. Oh, well, seeing as they've left, I'll take one for the team and eat it. Yum. When we say take one for the team, it means that I'll just do more. I'll do extra, right? He's being funny. He goes, well, since they're not eating our food, I'll just eat more food. I'll eat their
Gift.
I'll eat their share of the food. Professor Greenfur, this is our last page today. Professor Greenfur continued to scratch the leaves on his head in confusion. The data on the tetrastellium is correct, but there's still something weird going on, he muttered. I've never heard of pink tetrastellium before, and I've studied it for years. I also had a strange feeling, but I brushed it off and congratulated myself on how well everything had gone. Our mission was basically complete. I couldn't wait to return to my cabin and start writing my novel. All right, this is where I'm going to put our star. You want blue?
Yes.
Okay. So I think there's definitely something strange going on.
Wrong.
Do you think that the pink tetrastellium is going to be good or not good?
Not good.
And
So long.
oh, are you ready to say so long?
Yes.
I'll say so long.